Hello folks, I'm going to talk about some hard truths about CAT preparation, and so something that get my goat, that make it look too simple or too difficult, and so both are wrong. And so some truths that I think all of you should know, which is not comfortable to hear, which is not it's not fun to hear, but I think you should know the context of it when you're doing this. And so first of all, lots and lots of students get 80th percentile, 85th percentile, maybe even 88th, 90th percentile with 3 months preparation and only 4 months preparation and only this much preparation. Then they immediately say, look, with only 2.5 months preparation, I could get 85th percentile. If I prepare diligently for 10 months, I can go to 98, 99. It seems like a very nice logical thing to extrapolate, but it's not true. It's not correct. And so 85th percentile to 93rd percentile, or not 93rd, 85th to 98, 99th, 85th percentile to 99th percentile. It seems like with just 3 months I got 85. Another 13, 14, why can I not get? When our mind is conditioned to thinking 85 tak pahunch ke 99 tak pahunchna hai, and that's it. Idhar hai, one right turn, left turn, मैं पहुंच ही जाऊंगा. So percentile is a whole different ball game. And 85th percentile to 99th percentile is more or less a doubling of the scores. That doesn't come from doubling of effort. Right? It doesn't happen like that. And so it's even tougher. And so if you can double your scores with effort, everybody will double and triple their efforts. And so after a point of time, getting an incremental half mark, 1 mark becomes difficult. 85 to 99 is a doubling of scores, a gigantic step. And so to be very, very brutal about it, if somebody knows basic English, basic math, knows how to manage an exam, 85 high jayega on a good day. And so 85th percentile means nothing. And so I know it's very hard to hear. For those of you who've got 85th percentile, I'm saying this for one reason only, and I'll elaborate on that reason as well. Taki don't leave everything else and say I'll prepare for CAT agli saal to 99 aa jayega. And so this is a journey, and so you need to be super realistic about what prospects are, what the journey is about. It's very nice to get all psyched up with optimism. I love optimism. I'm an Indian entrepreneur, right? Without optimism, you get cooked in weeks, forget months. And so, but I don't want it to become delusional. Very, very important. 85th percentile means nothing. And it's very cruel to hear this, because you've done better than 85% of the people who are sitting here for trying for this exam. But 85th percentile is give or take 45 marks. It's 15 marks per section, 5 questions right. So it's nothing. And so I know I'm deliberately going out of my way to be a little cruel, because I don't want people to believe and start on this journey thinking 85 to 99 is the right? So the point why I'm trying to make this is lots and lots of students do this, get the idea of the dream being sold, and the very big temptation out there to go all in on one thing. So to grab your initiative, this is your thing, take your chance, throw everything into it, all those funny, fantastic taglines are sometimes pain, and sometimes that they lead us into believing that if only we put in some effort, if only we're true in our hearts, if only our commitment is complete, if only we jump in with full josh, if only we go all into it, then everything will fall in place. And so the 2-hour exam when CAT 2025 was an utter nightmare. There's lots of things that could go wrong, which is completely not in your hands. You get one wrong LRDI puzzle, you're cooked. You get tired at the end of LRDI, you're cooked. If you don't have reading stamina and get 5 of your guesses wrong, you end up with a score of 6 marks in VRC, you're cooked. And so it's a competitive exam. It's fraught with randomness and creepy, unaccountable for ways. What I mean by that, nobody is accountable for the mistakes that happen in the paper, the erratic nature in which the paper is framed. That our Indian way of I say, yeah, chalta type. Right? So sometimes I get annoyed with it. But we need to plan for it. Right? So from here on in, if you're thinking about it, then it's a long journey. You need to make sure that you're signing up for that uncertainty. And so the hard truth about this is a ton of uncertainty. Till CAT, then you get your scorecard, and then you feel like, look, I got this. I marked choice C, but यहाँ पर तो B लिखा हुआ है, so that happens. Then your marks then you appeal for some questions, then they generally don't agree, then the percentiles, then the call letters, right? Then the interview process and preparation, then final admit. You hear lots of stories of guys getting 99.8 and not converting ABCL, guys getting 99.68 and not getting ABCL IK calls even, and they don't have big holes in their CV. They've got 85%, 90%, 8.1 CGPA, 99.62, and you don't get a call. And utterly understandable, because this is a meritocracy. 99.62 won't cut it, and I understand where they come from. They need to call only the best students, and 99.62 not good enough. I understand that. I get that. I'm not blaming the IIMs in any form, right? But the hard truth is, for all students, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. It works both ways. It means that you still have a chance no matter what. But this time the point I'm trying to make is, there is a ton of unpredictability and uncertainty on your way to potentially a college, that you'll be daft to think that padhenge lenge ho jayega. And so don't. With both of these, the point I'm trying to make in terms of actionable ideas is to say, hey, don't quit your job. Right? Do not quit your job at all. No chance. Right? I'm going to go to more relevant parts of preparation. And this is to say, hey, don't be delusional about the path ahead, your chances, where you stay, what your current levels are, what are the odds of making it. Right? So that is one part. And now we've gone to the preparation journey. When you're preparing for quant and logical reasoning, data interpretation, and verbal, and to make sure that you know that don't believe people who make this sound like it's a piece of cake. Quant have basic some arithmetic, some algebra, some geometry. I'll give you 20 shortcuts. Hamare syllabus mein to we get covered like this. You do our 23 sheets. 8 questions will be directly from that. Right? So and you attempt 8 questions, you're getting 24 marks. That itself is 97 percentile in quant. You do something like that, you're there, you're through. Some more or less nonsense. Quantitative aptitude paper in the last few years has not been form-like. Has not been. Right? So there's no kind of magic bullet to crack it. Learn from scratch, learn from fundas, have a good go at it. But don't think that you learn 10 formulae, you'll just a bunch of shortcuts. There's a secret ticket to this thing that somebody is going to unlock for you. They are geniuses who know the way to go about it, and then you just pick that up and then you just waltz your way to IIM Calcutta. Chances nahi. There isn't a question in quant which comes from a bleeding obvious shortcut. Shortcuts work. The pain point of shortcuts is not exactly in the questions where they work. It's very much in the questions where they don't work. Shortcuts are very narrow toolkits, and so you use a shortcut, you have to use it carefully. So in the question where it applies quite beautifully, it will save you 1.5 minutes. But knowing that shortcut and thinking about it when you're plugging it in, you're going to think about that shortcut being plugged in 3 other questions. And you've lost half a minute each in them minimum, poking around and seeing whether this shortcut chalega ki nahi chalega. That is a cost that nobody accounts for. That's painful. And so there's no silver bullet. Practice, keep at it, do well. And likewise, for the logical reasoning, data interpretation section, there isn't a syllabus at all. Nobody can say these question types. And if you look at the last 5 years paper, the questions don't fall into any categorization. They've designed this section beautifully. It is first principles based problem solving with some level of mandatory creativity required, with one X factor definitely needed to select the right puzzles and have a good go at them. And so it's a wonderful section to test whether you can think on your feet. It's a super challenging section to press all buttons and make you feel like giving up and push you to the corner and do well. What it is not is a beautiful prescribed syllabus. What it is most definitely not is do these 12 questions and you're good to go type of thing. It refuses to be categorized. Understand that. Don't listen to, if anybody says DILR तो हो ही जाएगा, मैं तो बता दूंगा तुम्हें, इतना ही है उसमें, उतना ही नहीं है, बहुत ज़्यादा है. And क्या है? It's not easily described. It doesn't mean it is impossible. It doesn't mean it is erratic. It doesn't mean it is nonsense. It just means that we have to accept that it refuses to be categorized. And therefore we have to say, hey, it doesn't fall into a category. You'll still hang in there and prepare well for it. Right? Now, having said all this, am I doom mongering and scaring all of you from even taking this exam? Of course not. Of course not. And I'm a gigantic believer in the idea that this exam is good, notwithstanding all the mishaps and pressure points and irritations and frustrations I have with the exam. And so I think it's a beautiful exam by and large. I think it does a wonderful job of taking 2.5 lakh aspirants and putting them into a top 2,500 and then the next 10,000 and then the 20,000 after that quite beautifully. It's a very challenging task if you think about it. How do you go about creating a mechanism which is kind of fair? It kind of is a resilience and IQ filter and gives you a top 1,000 and a top 10,000 and a top 20,000 beautifully. It's a very challenging task, and this exam does it very well. Right? The second thing I also like is that the prospects for doing an MBA in India are very good. Not just from the so-called Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, the Blackie or Blackism or whatever the latest abbreviation or acronym is. Fine. So there's a compelling proposition to be made to do a good MBA from IIM Trichy or IIM Udaipur. Right? You'll hear stories of people being struggling here and the prospects not being great and the average salaries not being fantastic. Fine. So a lot of it is because of unrealistic expectations, because of delusional ideas going in. And so I think the prospects of doing an MBA in India are really good. The economy is good. It rewards talent and it rewards perseverance. It rewards talent, learning and perseverance over a 35-year career. What it is not is a ticket to glory and a great lifestyle. Why will any company pay some youngster 25 lakhs per annum if they cannot be absolutely guaranteed wonderful returns on that investment? So make yourself extraordinarily valuable to be good value for money at a price point of 25 lakhs per year. Would you recruit yourself for 25 lakhs per year? If you would not, then you have to figure out a way of making yourself that. And just doing 2 years in an IIM Udaipur or Trichy is not going to do that. You have to become better, employable, valuable, and very clearly be able to signal that through your mark, grades, CGPA, summer internship, percentile, the whole shebang. Then you deserve a seat on the table. The seat on the table is still fantastic. It's not a magic thing to like a wand. Okay, tum 2 saal pahunch gaye, there's a wand, and then you come out as a fantastic guy, or you become fiercely employable, or your price point just shoots up. The value proposition economics for every employee is the same. If I want to pay an employee 16 lakhs per annum, as an entrepreneur, I want 30 lakhs per annum of value from them to my business. Having an IIM tag does nothing to me if they can't deliver that 30 lakhs per annum. So doing this degree is a way of equipping yourself to become more valuable in the capitalistic economy. Very often, lots of students just lose sight of that and say, look, you have to ask yourself the question, am I capable of delivering every year annual value of 35 lakhs per annum? Now, starting now, maybe 40, 45 later on. If you can't see that happening, figure out ways of having that happening. Having a brand slapped on you does nothing. And so I'm super optimistic about the idea of doing an MBA from a decent college, idea of learning tons of stuff in a nice, intense environment, idea of delivering value over a 40-year career for any youngster who puts his or her heart into it, idea of having a very good crack at CAT by learning from first principles, reading tons of stuff, doing from scratch, showing resilience in the journey, all of that. Right? This does not mean that you should be delusional about it. And so be very realistic about prospects, be very clear about what is hard fact and what is some random flavor added by our environment. Be clear about your chances, your choices, your decisions, and then give it a full-fledged go. Know the facts, be realistic, and still dive in and prepare for 10 months because it's totally, absolutely worth it. On that note, we at 2IIM also offer a super course for CAT. You can do it online, you can do it in classroom, you can do self-paced, you can do recording. There are tons of options available. We have a super scholarship exam for availing our course that's happening this weekend. Do check that out as well. Best wishes for CAT.